that small but perfectly formed. We appreciate you coming, and we are going to be relying on you quite a lot in this session, so get your thinking brains on as opposed to the heat brain. Welcome to Live at the Libraries. This is Plotting a Crime, and just to give you an idea of the running order, we're going to do introductions first, and then we're going to go through each of the aspects that an author has to consider when they're plotting a crime for their novel. And I think a lot of us may start with the crime as a jumping off point for the novel, but we'll talk about that. As we go through each of the aspects explained by each of our lovely authors here, at the end we're going to ask you to pick one of the choices. And when we have choices for each of the aspects, we're going to see if we can plot a crime that we will take away and make into a little story, and then publish on our various newsletters, blogs, whatever, that you can check into and see how it turned out. Cool. Sound all right? Okay. I am Gianetta Murray. I have just started in the field of murder mysteries. My first one, Moved to Murder, came out last year, and the second one, Dug to Death, is coming out next month. I also write, I have a collection of humorous paranormal short stories, and I work with other authors, including Angela Wren here, in several anthologies. So that's me. I will let these folks introduce themselves.
I'm Roshan Pitteea. I published my first crime novel last year, so Care and Control, it's a year old now, and the sequel to it, The Voodoo Room, is coming out in autumn this year, so excited to do that. It took me probably 2 weeks to write the first draft of Care and Control, and then a lot more time editing it, obviously, but I think it just kind of came out from, I suppose, like years in the world of safeguarding. So I've been a social worker before in child protection. I'm now a police detective. So you kind of write what you know, but being able to bring like lots of fun psychology in and everything. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Hi, I'm Anne Wedgwood. I've got 3 books out. There they are, Twist and the Tales. Ronnie Twist is my detective, but she's a sort of secondary character. I write from the point of view of either the murderer or someone suspected of murder, or somebody who's caught up in experiencing the investigation. They're all set in Beverley, where I live. I started writing about 6-7 years ago now. I'm just full of awe and wonder at what Roshan has just said, because it took me so long to write my first one. It took 4 goes. It's 4 entirely different versions before the final one was worth actually reading for the botanists. The others were a bit quicker. There you go. I'm having a bit of a break now. But yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say? No, that's it. Okay, good.
Yvonne?
Hi, I'm Yvonne, also known as L.K.Pang. I write gothic thrillers. The first one's Motel Hall, and that is largely inspired by the story of Jane Eyre and other gothic kind of stories like Rebecca and Wuthering Heights, but set in the modern day with darker twists and turns. And the second one, I'm sort of delving into a little bit of historical fiction stroke thrillers as well. So it's a 1950s 1950s suspense novel set in a mental hospital, inspired by Menston, Hyroids. So yeah, my starting points for writing crime isn't so much about the crime, but more about character development. So they're very character based, and also the setting is also I treat like a character as well, and then yeah, crime comes into these stories too.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's start with our first aspect then, and you will all find these little slips of paper on your chair. That tells you where we're going to go. And the first one is genre, so I believe Yvonne's going to tell us some things about genre.
Genre. So with crime, there's obviously lots of different types of genre you can write it in. So there's the classic detective whodunit kind of novel, which is a puzzle-solving mystery, such as Agatha Christie and Miss Marple. And the style, sorry, I'm reading off a list. The style is, so it's kind of like they give you clues throughout the novel, and you have to, suss out who did it. And then there's the hard-boiled stories, which involve tough, cynical detectives in a morally murky world. They're quite gritty and urban, often violent. And then we have police procedural ones, which is the story centres a lot around an investigation done by police. And legal thrillers like John Grisham, noir, which are dark, bleak, tragic, atmospheric. We've got cosy crime, which a couple of authors here
That's
do.
two kind of,
Yeah. So you're experts at that. But do you want? Are they kind of light in tone?
Yeah. No dead animals. That's key, isn't it?
Animals. And not a lot of blood and dismemberment.
Not much blood and guts. Yeah.
Just the touch, the odd finger.
Yeah, maybe the odd finger.
Yes. Very odd bodies.
Yeah.
But the joke never dies.
Yeah.
And then we've got the psychological thrillers, which involve a lot of twists and turns, and historical crime. So, someone who's committed a crime back in history, obviously. And then what I do is like gothic thrillers, which are a bit more atmospheric, but something dark's happened in them, and they're a bit descriptive. Yeah.
Okay. To the audience, can you tell us what you read and why you like it? What kinds of crime novels?
I like espionage.
Espionage?
Yeah, I like Gianetta Murray.
What about it do you like?
I like the grittiness. I think, like you mentioned, the hard-boiled genre. I think that's probably what it falls under. So it's not like James Bond. It's not like all glamorous and stuff. It's, I like those.
Martini's a drunk.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Oh, definitely cozy crime. I do
Cozy.
want to see lots of mystery, violence. I like nice, neat bodies, and very important, the animals don't die. So that's really.
I prefer if the blood and gore happens sort of off screen.
Yes.
I don't mind if people get slaughtered horribly, but I don't want to know. I don't want the details. I'm not too keen on deeply psychological, because I can't follow them, basically.
I think you need to read good, deeply psychological crime. They can be hard to follow, yeah. Yeah, that's the tension in cozy crime. It's, we don't want any animals to die, but people, that's fine. More the better.
Very nicely. I mean, I know their bodies, but you kill them off so nicely.
It's like inside.
Yes, exactly.
Very demure, very mindful.
Yeah, the Christie type puzzle.
Yeah.
Maybe poison that they grew in their own garden or something.
Yeah, so that's another one is Golden Age, isn't it?
Yeah.
Golden Age.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Farming
it
around.
used to be quite a safe place to live, but not anymore.
My husband. Go ahead.
My crime reading is almost entirely restricted to Maygrave. Now, you may know better than me what is different about him, and maybe it's just I haven't looked at a lot of other people, but there is something very appealing about Maygrave. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be, each book is supposed to be read in a day by someone with limited vocabulary.
Is that what they say?
Really?
Well, I was
Excellent.
at Agatha Christie the other day.
Yeah.
I'm going to try the Maygrave.
I mean, I would say Maygrave is, the equivalent of the French equivalent of Golden Age.
Yeah.
And I love his books. I love
It's
his
1930s, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
1930s?
He goes on into at least the 60s, and maybe
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah, because they sometimes rerun the really old TV versions, TV adaptations, don't they? and you can tell from the way the scenery moves that
And some of them change dramatically. Some of the television, you have a different look sometimes at television.
Yeah, they did a few, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought so. And the Bruno Kremer one, the French one. So.
and Poirot is the closest to David Suchet is the closest to Poirot.
He's the proper Poirot.
I can't really imagine anybody else as Poirot, could you?
Yeah.
Now, Yvonne and Roshan, are you going to now tell us, after saying cosy is the only way to be, that yours is full of nasty, mutilated dead bodies?
I'll let you answer that.
No, other did I? Maybe one, but it's not that graphic. I'm not Stephen King about it. No.
Not that stuff.
I would think for some readers, the dead animals would only be acceptable if somebody eats them afterwards.
Oh,
That's the environmental one.
The sustainable source.
Yeah, exactly. And they're killed in a legal abattoir, not just on the street.
do you have blood and gore in yours?
I do, but generally speaking, the kind of promise I've made myself is that I'm going to try and write as much as possible what I know. So at the minute, when I started my detective training, I was it was just as COVID was starting. So ordinarily you would spend a period of time with the Homicide and Major Inquiry team as part of that. And unfortunately we weren't allowed to do that, so I never actually got my stint there, and I've never had a chance to go. I've been involved in murder investigations kind of on the peripheries.
You do the door-to-door?
No, we were, like, for example, my team were on duty when like quite a high-profile child murder occurred, so I was transcribing the calls from the suspects. Well, they've obviously been convicted for it now, but to the ambulance. So yeah, so we've been to I've been to things where we found babies in recycling centres, and I've dealt with bodies. I'm not particularly bothered about bodies. That one of them things. As long as you've not been responsible for the reason they're dead, that generally not cause you a problem. But so I eventually I will get there, and I've missed it on the murder team. But until then, I want to kind of focus on some of the crimes that I know. So mine at the minute tend to be focused quite on child protection type offences, so care and control, sort of like child sex offence type stuff in it. One of the key characters is a looked after child, so he's in foster care. So that I'm able to pull from like my social work background and some of the pre-qualification work that I used to do with children involved in sexual exploitation, and then also pull from actually investigating those crimes as well, and bringing people to court for those.
Okay. Freaking out because of people with the dead babies.
You asked.
So that is gritty. You're working
That
gritty.
is pretty gritty.
Gritty, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Definitely police procedural gritty.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, yeah.
I should have prefaced that 2-week thing by saying I was not a fun person to be around.
I bet.
I wasn't planning to kind of do it, and it just was like a cork pot.
Yeah.
And
May I ask what you see as your primary career?
and I think it's just been like the investigation. When I was a social worker, what I really enjoyed was interviewing people, whether that be parents, children, the almost kind of investigative and analytical side of it, and then taking that into policing. Because I'd thought about policing before I became a social worker almost. When I had a bit of a sort of crossroads where I'd walked out of a job in victim support, and I was basically earning money through body shop at home parties, and I had a mortgage to pay, so it wasn't very responsible, but there you go. So I either needed to get this job with something called the Blast Project, which was working with boys and young men who were at risk of sexual exploitation. It was either that, if I didn't get it, I would have to go, and it's not like I had to, but like my friend had offered me a job as a funeral director in a funeral parlour. So
Wow.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Policing your funerals. Again with the
A
dead.
lot more material. Yeah.
well, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. Do you have a favourite?
I've only just started reading cozy crime.
Okay.
I've read Grisham before and Jeffrey Dean. But Grisham, because I loved his writing, the way he wrote, I'd keep it by my bedside while I was writing, hoping to write just like him. Patricia Cornwall.
Oh.
All right.
I haven't read it for quite a few years, but I read quite a lot.
Yeah.
So didn't turn the bedside light out for weeks after one of them was finished. But it's been a few years since I read it, but I read quite a few of them.
You begin to wonder if there isn't a forensic pathologist anywhere who hasn't written that.
What you do, don't you?
So many. Excellent. All right. So the next question is, what do we want our story to be? What genre?
Well, I'm for the cozy crime.
Cozy? We have a cozy?
No
How
different.
many are okay with
That's
cozy?
very cozy.
Cozy's okay? All right. We're gonna go cozy. No dead animals. I'm good with that. Okie doke. Motive and character of the killer. What are the common motives? How do they fit the killer? And the manner of the crime. That's you, Anne.
Right. Talking about where you start with a book, my start point is always a motive. So I have various motives sitting around on my laptop somewhere, you know, like, what if somebody killed somebody because of this? But I was reading a bit about motives today, and there's a two-strand thing there of motive and motivation, because when somebody kills somebody, in their head, it's the only solution. Like, in my first book, Lillian has killed more than one person, and in her head, that was the only option. She considered all the other options, they weren't going to work, so she had to kill somebody. So you're finding somebody, a motive has to be something that a person thinks is worth killing for. And that leads you to a character. So what sort of person will think it's okay to do X, which is a murder? So they are inextricably linked. So there are, I think, I made some notes. Authors make notes. There are certain groups of, I mean, you can read articles about motives for murder or whatever, but I think they fall into certain strands. So you've got like psychosis. Somebody is a psychopath, they're a serial killer, they just love killing people. And some books are about them. Some of those gritty detective thrillers, you find it's somebody who just likes to go killing people because his mother was horrible to him when he was young. Something like that. So there's something which we're never actually going to relate to because, well, I hope not. Or that I wouldn't, because that's just not me. It's like asking a lion to pretend it's a mouse. They're just different. It's a certain sort of person, a certain sort of what's in here leads to them doing that, and quite a lot of books are about that. So that's basically people who are off on a planet. Then there's material gain. So you're killing for money, or perhaps for position, something that's going to make you better off in this world. So you might kill your rival at work, or you might kill your aged aunt, or you might kill the person who saw you fix the will so that you inherit it all, or whatever. So there's that material gain. Then there's personal safety. You know, the battered wife. It's reasonable she has to kill her husband. Or this personal safety of a child, a physical threat, something physically threatening, but it could also be like blackmail, which is your personal safety, or it could also be, I think, keeping a secret. I'm particularly fond of like a two-stage motive. So somebody killing someone now because they found out about something that happened then, or somebody killing someone now because of what happened then. I think a lot of Agatha Christie's books are a bit like that. You know, she murdered someone now because they knew about what happened 30 years ago. Then there's the emotional, the lust, the revenge, you know, the crime of passion, or the planned crime of passion, because somebody's really, really worked up inside. And then there's criminal enterprise, so the drugs runners and the mob and so forth. So those were the sort of categories that I found. And then I thought, it's interesting. And then once you get your motive, then you're into your character. You know, the person who's going to commit a criminal enterprise type murder is not the same person who's going to necessarily commit the blackmail murder. And then you're also into the methods. Somebody in a criminal enterprise may well stab or shoot or strangle, but you're more likely then to have certain stereotypes, perhaps. Perhaps you're not going to have a 16-year-old skinny girl doing that. Sorry for being stereotypical. But then you are sort of a little bit, people say, you know, Poirot would say, oh, it's not a man. Somebody would say, oh, it's not a man's murder.
Yeah,
But it might have been, you know, there are expectations. And I actually think it's fun when you're writing to confound those expectations, to twist it around, so have everyone assume it must be this sort of person, whereas actually hiding in plain sight is that other person. And of course, murderers don't tell the truth, do they? So when you're looking for the character of the murderer, they're there, but they're sort of hiding it. They're saying one thing, but being another, or doing another, and it's that sort of peeling away of the layers of your murderer within the story that leads you into that character. But we, as authors, and when we're planning, we're planning it from the start. So you might start off with a perfectly normal, nice person. Something happens, so they have to murder somebody. And then they become a liar because they've done that. So it's all about all sorts of people are involved. And I had a few sort of examples which perhaps can make us think about what sort of crime we want. Even though we know it's going to be cosy, it can still be sort of different ones. So I was thinking, I watched a couple of episodes, only a couple because we ran out of interest, I have to say, I'm sorry, of The Assassin. And, you know, there you've got a criminal enterprise killer. On the telly, it's Keeley Hawes as a retired assassin. So she's killing for money. That's that one. Then you've got the revenge, the passion on the Orient Express. Or you've got, you can tell I'm an Agatha Christie fan, lust and combined, I think they're often combined with personal gain, Death on the Nile, where the couple are in love but they've got no money, so he pretends to fall out of love and marry the rich woman, and so you've got two, and I think sometimes you do have more than one motive, and then hiding a secret, and I love talented Mr. Ripley. He's hiding a lot of secrets in that one. So the books I tend to write are definitely, I turned it around and thought, what are my motives? And they are usually a combination of safety and emotional and material gain, which goes to show, I think, as well, that crimes are often complex, aren't they? They're often, or you know, your murderer can tolerate one thing and then you added another and that's it, it's just too much. So there we go.
Okay.
Have we got ideas of what we'd like, what sort of crime, and we haven't even talked really about means. Means can be so difficult. Yeah. You can't buy poisons like you used to. It's terrible.
I would
They
give
are.
last try.
Yeah. Agatha Christie had loads of things she could bump people off with. You can't buy rat poison now for love nor money.
Thought she was in pharmacology. So.
She was. She knew all about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Chemist.
Yeah.
So, Anne's very complete explanation there. Based on that, I would say we're writing a cozy, so let's toss out serial killer, because they don't often show up in cozies. So out of the rest,
Yeah.
what do we want as a motive for?
I doubt we're going to be in criminal enterprise, are we?
Probably not
So
criminal
it's
enterprise.
probably the secret. Somebody's but then you need two, because you need to know what secret they're hiding. What happened in the past that they're hiding now?
You could have a criminal enterprise, but your criminal enterprise could be something really off the wall.
Oh.
You know, like a gang of old ladies.
Oh yes.
I'm probably an old lady, myself. And I know old ladies can get into all sorts of mischief. Now, wouldn't it be fun in your cosy if we take that and sort of twist it? So instead of these sweet little old ladies that you see bubbling around the streets, they're the ones that make the really good drug smugglers as well, if you're interested. Nobody expects little old ladies.
Yeah.
But you could get... You're also dodging. But you know, they would be great fun for...
Yeah.
Like a sinister version of Calendar Girls, basically.
Yeah.
Oh right, I would like that.
They can make jam.
Yeah.
Poison jar.
Who knows what they're getting up to in their knitting groups?
So basically, they're going to be killing because somebody finds out about their
Yeah.
criminal enterprise, so that's the kind of the
Maybe.
secret they're killing for.
Yeah, but, or are they killing? Sorry, it was supposed to. But are they killing? Are they finding people within the community that they know are really horrible, and working out ways, like vigilantes, and working out ways to bump them off with their jam and things like that?
So are they from a large town or city, or they can't go?
No, it must be quite a market town or a small
Large
place.
enough to
Yeah.
have a criminal enterprise involved.
Yeah.
Size, you know, that's
Yeah.
big enough to hide a few murderous old ladies.
Yeah.
So if they're bumping off people they feel are unworthy,
yeah.
they need to know what kind of unworthy they
Oh,
think
they
they
really
are.
What's their moral code?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just moved from Marlow, where they're doing there's a series on the television from
Richard Osman.
Yes, the Marlow Murders.
Yeah.
That's Robert Thorpe.
Yeah. I like the guy,
Yeah.
but I don't think his fiction is very good.
Okay.
Anyway, so there we are.
We couldn't possibly say.
Because the
It would
town
be
is
like
little.
the
So-
Thursday murder club, only where the club meets to do
To plan a murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be a big criminal enterprise. It can be just.
No.
So what are they murdering people for? Do we have ideas what they're murdering people for?
Oh, for money.
Money?
Like,
Yeah, but how could they get their money?
Because they've been rude to them in the shop.
Yeah.
Prescription drug dealing.
Or
Prescription drug dealing.
wife beaters.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, it could be that.
Fiddling with
Abusers.
children as they used to
Abusers.
Abusers, domestic abusers.
That's a very.
That's not so cosy.
very women
You see,
against
my
the
book,
men
my
thing
books
as
aren't
well,
really
as
cosy.
well.
That's what I think of these.
Sit around and chat about it, they'd put their hands up to the police, wouldn't it? That's
Yeah.
Chop them off if the police did.
So maybe it can just be people who are, you know, it could be a wife beater. It could be a bad parent. It could be several things. They're
Do they have to be murdering? Could they be stealing things to give to the poor? Could they be like Robin Hoods?
But they have to choose who they're stealing from and why still.
Well, there's an
Yeah.
old series that it's real cases at the moment on that listening on the radio about people that are stealing properties because they're forging wills. So you know they find an old lady that doesn't have much contact that dies intestate, and they produce this will that says she was desperately in love with a 23-year-old Yugoslavian. And
Oh
he gets
yeah.
the works.
Maybe there
What's a
just
true
has
crime
to
like
be.
that?
Maybe I mean, if it's a cosy crime, then there needs to be crime, and then there needs to be finding out about it, and then who did it. Now, if the answer at the end is this bunch of old ladies, maybe there's just one person that they've murdered for a good reason. Yeah, it could be one of their husbands, or it could be exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
somebody who had collaborated with the Nazis in the war. or something.
Ooh.
If they were in France, maybe.
Or in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or in Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey's a nice one. Yeah.
Okay, we'll play with that. All right.
That's
I'm kind
quite
of liking the
yes.
jam idea though, and
The jam
going
is pretty
somewhere
good.
in my
They
head.
could definitely kill him with the jam.
Poison, yeah, the poison jam is.
They could definitely, you want.
Poisoned
And
pectin.
that fits well. You're up next. So
And because
we'll talk
ideally you
about
want
that.
something that looks like it's natural causes but actually can be discovered not to be, which
Okay.
is that's a challenge.
It is, yeah.
But jams are good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
All kinds of baked, all kinds of cooked and baked food possible.
Sorry, we'll
Okay. All right. I think we have our killers and probable cause. So now, Roshan, you're going to tell us about the sleuth.
Yeah. So for, when I started thinking about this, the obvious comparisons for me were I grew up on Agatha Christie as well, so I used to love reading the books. So Poirot, and absolutely David Suchet is the Poirot for me. And obviously he would always say, wouldn't he, like order and method, and he had a very particular way.
Let's see some more.
And I suppose he wasn't really a particularly warm, endearing person. That compared, if you compared him, say, to Miss Marple, who actually on the face of it, quite a nice little old lady who had a nice way with people and was
But
quite,
not married.
yeah, quite worldly. But yeah, just, I suppose in a way they both had a very kind of orderly or logical way of looking at things, but maybe different skill sets, I suppose.
One thing I've been listening to podcasts, Agatha Christie Poirot books,
Yeah.
for the past couple of months, he's always incredibly polite to the servants, and that gets him a lot of information.
Yes.
Which the police just go, not talking to the kitchen maid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that does come in more than one of the, in quite a lot of the stories. So yeah, it's kind of, it's almost like knowing who to talk to, and but I think again that comes to a level of logic as well, like who's going to know the certain information that you need to know. So like thinking when he ended up in that random joke shop in Christmas, the Christmas murder. I forget the title now.
I remember the one you're talking
Poirot's
about.
Christmas.
Yeah,
There we go. But then I suppose like I started to think a little bit deeper about it, and are you looking at the kind of sleuth that has something that they're trained in? So is it like interviewing skills? So, you know, like in my career we've got certain tiers of interviewing. We become specialist interviewers through additional training, so we know how to put like psychological pressure on people, we know how to phase our interviews to build up and make it more challenging and uncomfortable for someone until they tell us what we want to know. The flip side of that is obviously working like when I'm interviewing children, for example, for their statements for court, it's a different skill set. So there are different ways of engaging with people that you can be trained in. There's like the Catherine Dance, I think, is the name of the character, and why am I so bad with names today? This is really not good. She's her speciality is keen. I can't even say it. Kinesthetics. Or thank you. But basically being able to read people's body language and interpret that and use that to, you know, challenge or draw more information out of them, and then even adopt her own style, positioning, whatever, to try and engage people. Or are you looking at someone's kind of innate skills or kind of innate characteristics? So again, there's obviously something about Poirot where order and method is important. What would we interpret that as today? Is that kind of like a neurodiversity thing, you know?
It's a bit OCD, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's always noting when
yes.
somebody's moved something on the mantelpiece, or when
And
or there's wax on the floor, and what that means. He's very detail oriented. Yeah.
So is it that? Is it something that comes from like trauma in your sleuth's childhood? So like, for example, my main police officer has come from a care background himself, and actually that helps him relate to the child victim that he's being tasked to work with. There are, I can't think of anyone just off the top of my head, but you know, I've read books before where you've got sleuths who are, because they've been through a similar kind of experience themselves, they're able to draw that in and understand what their victim is going through, or indeed why potentially the killer is, or the suspect has done what they've done. So for me, I'm always interested in the psychology of stuff. It may not always come out in the writing, in the sense that I may not write overtly, this is, you know, this person is doing this because they've got a disorganised attachment pattern, for example, but as a social worker I love attachment and things like that, so of course I'm thinking about that. I've been really fortunate to do some additional training around like forensic psychology, specifically for interviewing like and assessing child sex offenders, so I brought a lot of that in terms of understanding people, like how it feeds into motivation, you know, why people do. Yeah. But it's useful to know, because it kind of it's useful to think about, because I think the more and more that you write, I think you kind of want to, and the more you want to kind of deepen your characters, and you tell me if I'm right with this, you start asking, well, why do they do this, and you know, where does that come from, where's the root? Is it, is it something that's happened to them? Is it just something that they feel? Do they even know why they do what they do?
Do you think there's both?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I probably do certain things and don't really know why I do them. If someone sat down and psychoanalysed me, maybe so. The other thing that I thought, as well, in terms of the skills of the sleuth, that probably aren't really put out there, really, in terms of fictional crime, because it's really boring, is procedural skill.
Yeah.
What people don't often tell you about in terms of criminal investigation is the procedural stuff where, for example, if you haven't followed your legal duties in terms of disclosing evidence over to the defence in a timely way, things like that can really collapse. Yeah. And if you have a sleuth where you've got, are they an ethical sleuth? Are they an ethical cop?
I was going to ask, is there, obviously there wouldn't be with the police, but is there a poacher turned gamekeeper type of sleuth who has been from a criminal past? Probably not a killer, because obviously... Does that...
Yes, I think
can you join the police if you have a criminal record?
Like Hannibal.
You've got to be vetted.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
you've got to be what?
Although he never really turned gamekeeper, did he?
No.
He was always poaching. Yeah. And was it
But
fire beans?
there are morally dubious sleuths who discover things.
Yeah.
So,
But are you going to get the kind of cop, for example, who's going to deliberately hide evidence in order to keep the case going, or are you going to have an above board one that pays attention to detail and will declare if there's a bit of evidence gone missing, some CCTV footage?
Really?
No.
It's in practice. It's lots of boring schedules. We call them MG6.
It could be a well-meaning one, but maybe something.
Yeah.
well, we've
But
just
flawed,
we're just, thank God, coming through the whole hardened police detective a la Ian Rankin, who's also has an alcohol problem. That was just
Robbie Cole's
standard. That was standard for a while.
Actually, there is the side of, I'm reading a book at the moment where somebody, when the crime occurred, there was political pressure brought to bear, and so the wrong solution was found. I mean, it wasn't actually the wrong person put in jail, it was whatever, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then 10 years later, someone's saying, hang on, this wasn't handled properly.
Yeah.
So that's when that
Miscarriage
sort
of
of,
justice, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always pressure from the superintendent, isn't it? Those
Yeah,
superintendents
yeah,
are
they're
just
terrible.
POV.
And they never know the job.
Okay. So we've had a lot of discussion around our sleuth and what kinds of sleuths there are. Who is it who's going to catch these larcenous old grannies?
Well, your sleuth's a librarian, isn't she? I mean, she's got nothing
My
to
sleuth's been a librarian and a technical writer, and now she's studying interior design.
So there's lots of sleuths that have actually got no experience, and we're just like other people.
In cozies,
In cozies, you can
they're
have who you
bakers,
want.
They're
Yeah.
florists, they're crossword puzzle setters.
Yeah.
There's always something they bring to the table. So what is our?
It should be a librarian as we're in the.
Shall it be a librarian?
Yeah.
Okay.
With someone who's new to the town, though, an outsider.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other thing is you've got outsider sleuths and insiders.
Not always. Sometimes, you can.
So she's
a
the
fresh
new,
eye.
she's the new librarian in town, and she senses something's fishy. Something's fishy at the library bake sale.
And what's up those old ladies who come to their knit and that?
Yes.
Does she have any other skills that she's going to bring to solving this murder besides just being a librarian?
Slightly on the spectrum to pick up the details.
Is she related to one of the old ladies?
Maybe she lives next door.
Daughter-in-law or something?
Or she might live next door and pop in for a cup of tea and.
Here's something at night.
Yeah. Oh.
I would just say I like the idea of her being on the spectrum, but that's
But then you
a bit
don't
hard
pick up
for
the
me to
nuance
write.
of
Yeah,
what
that's a bit
people.
hard to write.
Not,
Yeah.
not
Distance from them, they need to be coming in
not
the
like
library.
She can just be very observant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like Poirot, you know, straightening the ornaments.
Be nice for her to have some quirks.
Sure.
Is she a hoarder? Is she,
could she
is she into swinging like that guy?
Could she potentially have a physical disability? Could she be in a wheelchair? So that she's perhaps often underestimated, and all the little old ladies love to look after her and be kind, and so there's a real aura of people not understanding who she is and not getting who she is.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It's just
Does that sound good to us? Okay. All right. I'm on board for the last thing, which is about clues and red herrings. The twist in the story, because for me that's where it starts. I need to know how they're going to get away with the murder, or try to get away with the
Can I
murder.
quote Val McDermott? Somebody asked her, how she ever thought of having a lesbian detective.
Oh, gee, who'd have thunk it?
She wasn't sure.
It's amazing the things people wonder about, isn't it?
Yeah. I always try to find different ways to say my books are about an American who moves to South Yorkshire and used to be a librarian. And then you've got your biography. I'm an American who moved to South Yorkshire and used to be a librarian. Okay, write what you know. All right, so let's start with the clues. And by the way, little knowledge here. We'll get to red herrings. Clue is from the Middle English, meaning a ball of thread. So a la, Jason going through the maze and the and the Minotaur, however you pronounce it.
Minotaur.
So yes, that is where clue comes from. It's spelled C-L-E-W originally. We have lots of different kinds of clues. We have the something's missing that should have been there, a la the dog that did not bark in the night, sort of thing, if you like Sherlock Holmes.
You're not going to be poisoning that dog, are you?
Nah.
No. I think it's that the dog, he figured out the dog knew the person. Figured out the dog knew. No poison.
Maybe
No
a
poison.
mild sedative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were there.
In a nice piece of steak, so they enjoy it.
They slept after the stage.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Digested.
Then there's the something that was out of place. Christie uses this all the time. And again, we were saying that's how Poirot usually figures out, something was out of place, therefore the person put something in there, or something like that. There is an Agatha Christie, where somebody notices the nun is wearing the wrong shoes.
Yeah.
Nuns wouldn't wear those shoes.
Oh, I've heard of that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to give titles
Yeah.
because I don't want to ruin it for you, but yeah. So there's the something missing, something out of place, something that's where it shouldn't be. There's the something is not what it seems. And again, I'll go back to Christie. We were saying earlier, there's at least 2 or 3 mysteries where they go by the watch for something and it turns out the murderer reset the watch.
Yeah.
Or, I've always wanted to do one where, they're all like, oh, the watch broke at the time of death. And it's all like, no, it didn't. Before, and they're completely off on the wrong thing. But
I've seen 2 on the TV where it was the iWatch stopped registering a heartbeat.
yeah, that's the current version of it, isn't it? Yeah, they can tell exactly when
Take
you
it off
died.
and then put it somewhere safe, put it back on.
Yeah, or the murderer takes it and puts it on and goes around it and then puts it back, so they had a completely wrong time. So yeah, there's that. There is the clue in plain sight, which is a favorite. I used to read a lot of, what is her name? Mary Stuart. And she was a classic on that, as well as who wrote the Amelia Peabody mysteries that are set in Egypt.
Oh, yeah,
Elizabeth Peters.
Yeah. So
Elizabeth
there are
Peters.
no men in this at the moment?
In what?
In this
Oh.
No.
You're just talking in general terms about
No.
clues. We're not planning ours yet.
So there's a Mary Stuart one where the sleuth is given a warning because she's a medieval literature specialist, and she's given the clue mark the beetle, meaning watch for the monster, which is how she takes it. But in the end, it turns out, no, they're saying bark is the beetle. And she has to work that out. So there's always the thing that doesn't quite mean what you think it means as a clue, there's another one where the person is, again, historically Roman, I think it was, and the person dying put V-I-C, and she's all like, oh, it must have happened in whatever VIC is in Roman numbers. But no, the murder wasn't in Victoria, So I love those kind of things.
Well, I've just listened to a Poirot that I've never seen before, called Cards on the Table. And the big clue is that somebody was playing bridge with bid 7 diamonds. And if you don't know bridge, well, I've just started learning, I thought, you can't
bid 7 times.
You can actually. I checked.
Can you?
I checked it by tutor.
Oh wow.
And it's a grand slam.
And again, that's where that sleuth specialist knowledge comes into play, isn't it? Finding that clue based on their specialist knowledge. So those are different kinds of clues, and we'll get to red herrings in a moment. But out of those clues, what kind of thing do we want our wheelchair-bound librarian to spot? And again, it'd be good if it was based on specialist knowledge that she or he had. We haven't said if it's a she or he.
Something on the top shelf because you can't reach.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
How would that?
Well, I don't know.
We'll work it out.
Well, maybe they think that she wouldn't. It would bypass her something that she wouldn't normally be able to see or detect because of
Or maybe it's something low down that most people wouldn't see.
If it was low down where she could see it.
Don't we need to know exactly what the crime was and how it was done in order to know what sort of clue it might be?
Well, I could put a pretend out of order sign on the lift so she can't find what in the basement.
Well, we did say it was poisoning.
Oh, did we?
We did say
Okay.
it was,
Well, maybe it's an ingredient that goes into
poison with the jam.
something that goes into the jam that because she's been reading, she's been putting new books into the shelves, and one is about poisonous plants, and she sees something also, and she might know who's taken it out, or she might visit the next door lady and she sees something on a shelf in the kitchen and she thinks, or
I mean, it doesn't have
Or is
to
it a
do
red
with
herring?
yeah, that might be a red
It doesn't have to necessarily do with the method of the death, though. It could just be something she catches somebody in a lie about
Places
something.
somebody
Ladies used the computer to look things up,
Yeah.
and the librarian could look at their history.
Computer history. That's a good librarian thing.
And then the old lady could say, I know nothing about computers, but she knows she's been on it. So why would she lie about that?
That was her job before.
Yeah.
IT specialist.
Well, you'd have to know, I'm sure you need to know about computers to work as a librarian, to do that.
Yes, these days. It's most of your job these days, yeah. Okay, all right, we can work with that. Computer history.
Oh, no, I've got the rest.
Okay. Oh, this may have to be a novel.
Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't sound like short story.
Very quickly, because we're running out of time, let's talk about red herrings. Little history on this. Anybody know where red herring came from? It was the fish that huntsmen used to, or huntswomen, huntspeople, used to drag across the trail that the dogs would follow to hide the scent of the fox, to train the dogs not to follow the fish, but to follow the fox scent instead. That's how they trained them. Once the dogs were able to ignore the fish scent and find the fox, they were trained.
Good. How clever.
There
Isn't it?
You learn something new every day.
you go. So you've got lots of kinds of red herrings, but we'll just pick a few. There's, of course, the character who seems evil or suspicious throughout the book that turns out not to be. Turns out not to be the murderer when you think they are. Famous example is Max de Winter in Rebecca. She thinks through the whole book after she marries him that he's trying to kill her and he's actually in love with his dead wife.
Or somebody making a threat to kill somebody, that quite often happens in the beginning, doesn't it? It's not, it's a red herring.
Exactly.
People say it, don't they?
Yeah.
Another one is, for Harry Potter fans, of course, Severus Snape. You think he's a bad guy all the way through, but it turns out there's reasons for, he is not happy about having to protect Harry, but in the end it turns out to be what he's doing. So that's the character who seems evil or suspicious, and that isn't. Another one in Hounds of the Baskervilles, if you like your Sherlock Holmes. There's a convict mentioned right in the first chapter, and you're like, oh, there you go. And everybody goes after the convict. It's not the convict. So, yeah.
Actually, you just reminded me of Great Expectations. Abel Magwitch, obviously not crime, but he is such a red herring, isn't he? But he turns out to be the most moral man in the world.
Yes,
Yep. Yeah, which leads back into the whole character. Misdirection is an obvious one. Again, Conan Doyle says Steady and Scarlet, the murderer writes, R-A-C-H-E, a German word at the crime scene. Everybody's like, oh, the murderer must be German. But of course the murderer isn't German. So you often have murderers planting red herrings, of course, to misdirect.
Like tales of the unexpected. They're all
They're murderers. Come on, yeah, exactly. An object appears to mean something, but it doesn't end up, like somebody's brown cigar is found at the crime scene, but that person isn't the murderer, but you throw it out there to make the reader think that it is. I don't know how many of you, I'm showing my age here, but used to watch Twin Peaks, the series Twin Peaks.
lots of coffee.
We used to get together with all our friends and we'd go screen by screen, frame by frame, and go, oh, did you see that? Oh, maybe that's it. So that was the master of object. It appeared to mean something, and in the end, it's all like,
That was when they went
some
back to the
wacko
70s,
turns into
wasn't
an
it? Twin Peaks, yeah.
Exactly. So those are the options we're putting on the table right now. So what do we? Let's pick a couple of red herrings that we might want to have in our book. We need a character that's maybe evil and seems evil and isn't.
Maybe a gardener with a shady past.
Ooh, gardener with a shady past.
That's very weird herb patch.
You can tell my
I was
mind's.
going to say, 'cause again, they have access to all the poisons and a few of which
Of course,
so,
yeah.
there's always a good gardener with a shady past. Okay. Anything that the poisoning might seem otherwise.
Yes.
Somebody falls down at the bedside.
Maybe the local chemist is well known not to like the victim,
Yeah.
and because they've got access to poisons and could have,
Okay.
or is found to have been chummy with the victim, but actually hold a grudge against them.
Okay.
They had an affair.
Yes, a spurned lover.
Spurned lover. So was he poisoning with
It might have been the spurner.
Yeah.
That is.
Or a soon to be divorced spouse who could have killed them in order to get the money before the divorce went through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loads.
That is. Yeah. You guys have named quite a few of the twists that I two characters who hate each other or actually love each other, or they end up being related. Luke, I'm your father.
Oh yeah.
Who saw that coming? Someone's trusted who shouldn't be, so that might be a chemist. Yeah. You trust to do the right thing. Okay. All right. You find you're working for the enemy. Yeah. Someone who's dead is alive. I guess we'll skip that one for here. That's someone who's dead is alive is always a good twist. But okay, we'll go with a gardener with a shady past and a local chemist who is a spurn lover. One of the ladies, one of the elderly ladies, or who's
younger, wouldn't he, a chemist?
maybe not. He could be elderly.
Yeah, he could be. He could be quite old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he could have been a kind of
Or an estranged son.
yes.
Okay.
A secret estranged son.
Could be a generational revenge act.
Wow. Secret estranged son. Given up at birth.
Yes.
It's always a good adoption. Kudos.
You could have both. The more red, I'd love to pepper
They're
my
twins.
stories with. My first book is all about the murderer, but the others have got multiple people who could have done the murder, and having lots of people with viable motives is that is what Red Herrings is about, isn't it?
I think we have all the pieces. We'll work this into a story and I'll run a first draft for all of you, and you can add to
Cool.
as necessary.
Fun.
In your special talents. No. There you go. If I were you all, I would keep your poster on who all four of us are, because we'll post it on our blogs, newsletters, whatever. So that's a really good chat.
Books and Beverages, we'll put it on our website.
Put it on Books and Beverages website as well. Okay, and we will go from there. Thank you all for coming. Is there any questions before we leave for any of our authors?
When can we expect it finished?
We have busy author lives, man. Could we say a couple of months maybe? Does that give us enough time?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all your examples.
Yeah, of course.
And if anybody wants,
point form of that, and we can post that on our bulletin board as well for anyone who wants to try themselves.
Absolutely.
yeah.
That would be
We'll
fun.
give you a summary
The
of what we came up
ingredients.
with.
You're going to get some of your grizzly bits in, I'm sure you want
It's a cozy, it's a cozy.
You weren't happy with it being too cozy.
No,
But I don't see any reason why there can't be a police detective and we can have
I
a
can-
procedure in there.
Yeah.
I've got a little thing going on where, so when I was doing my inspector's exam, after I'd released care and control, and I promised myself I wasn't going to write the next one until I'd done my revision, so I had like a space of time. But our library, local library, has like a writers group where you can just come and do your writing. So that was my Saturday kind of thing. So I'd go Thai boxing first, Krav Maga and stuff like that for an hour, get thrown around and punched and stuff, and then I would go and write. So I think I'll do that this Saturday.
And you just reminded me, we will add a handsome police detective that the librarian is irresistible.
Yes.
We gotta have one of those. Well, I want to, yeah.
Can I ask you?
I did.
In picking the sleuth who's going to catch our murderer, are we adamant in crime in general, cosy crime in particular? Does the murderer have to be caught? Is that a moral imperative that
We want
this ends with
Good question.
the murderer suffering the fate?
We couldn't possibly say.
Oh,
I think you can have a good murder mystery where there's
Yeah.
it isn't solved.
I think in a cozy kind of the aspect
Yeah,
of it
more
is
the
is a
tie-up,
resolution.
yeah,
You know somebody's going to get married at the end of a Jane Austen book.
Yeah.
And you kind of know the murderer's going to get caught at the end of a cozy. But you know, there's a lot of elderly ladies. Some of them could get away with it. I've seen it.
Yeah, they're clever people, ladies.
There must be a stage
Yeah.
in between we say, well, yes, the detective knows who it is, but it's just not.
Well,
Not
yeah,
provable.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or decides.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank Yvonne and Anne and Roshan for coming here today. Well done.